this one is repping. Oh my God, if I die, I'm a legend. When they lay me down to rest.
Yo, what up? It's Flinchwave coming at you with the first Flinchwave Teambuilder. We're here on Pokemon Showdown, the most popular competitive Pokemon simulator on the internet. It uses Smogon's rules for tiering and ban lists, so that goes for abilities as well as Pokemon. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to build a team around the Pokemon of the day. So for our first episode here, we have Heliolisk, and we are going to test it on the Sword and Shield OU ladder on Pokemon Showdown. We've made an account here, the Flinchwave account. I purposely laddered it up to 1400 or so, just to give a realistic idea of where a lot of users might be who are watching at home, because you see a lot of popular videos out there, and you'll have people streaming, but like realistically, you're not there at the 1700s. You're not looking at the threats at the 1700 level. Some of you might be out there, but realistically, to get there, you're gonna have to get through the teams on that mid-ladder tier first. And so this is going to help us out with there. Later on, we're probably going to try out some higher ladder teams too. So to start off, why are we using Heliolisk here? Heliolisk's ability, Dry Skin, is pretty much its #1 reason to use it. This is a more offensive threat than Seismitoad. If we look at the stat spread, it's bulkier in special defense than Toad. It's got a weaker defense, but its typing is actually really good. And actually we're going to add an air balloon to it to help us counter Seismitoad, specifically speaking of Seismitoad. So with the electric normal typing and an air balloon, we basically wall everything it can give us. We don't really care about toxic, because this is going to be used mostly as a pivot. And even knockoff doesn't hurt too much because we're faster, and we're first move for the purpose of Seismitoad exactly. It's going to be Grass Knot. Now, Grass Knot is going to take down most variants of Seismitoad. Most people are running a lot of defense on their Toads for Melmetal, and sometimes Conkeldurr. They're other big threats. So most of the time, they're not going to have any special defense investment for us. We're going to be able to knock them out with one hit anyway, so we don't care if they click whatever, because well, yeah, a lot of the time they don't even know the Heliolisk set, so they're going to try to put up Stealth Rocks anyway if we don't OHKO. From here, we're going to want Volt Switch for that turn after the Toad, or whatever threat we're going to hit with Grass Knot, because a lot of Hippowdons generally run max HP, but some of them are speed creeping for Melmetal that I mentioned earlier. That suspect test is set to end in about a week or so, but it looks like it's going to be here to stay, so it's better to prepare for it in general. So a lot of people are running defensive Hippowdon too, so Grass Knot can potentially kill a weakened Seismitoad, and, well, not a weakened Seismitoad, it's always going to kill Seismitoad. A weakened Hippowdon, it's going to be like 70 to 80%. From there, our Dual Stab sort of is actually going to be the move Glare. It's nearly a signature move. If you look at the the learn set for Glare, it's pretty much Heliolisk, Sandaconda, Drampa, and those other two are like RU. This is at least the UU Pokemon. Glare is always going to hit 100% accuracy and paralyze the target, but it works on ground types, similar to Body Slam, but it's guaranteed. It's not going to miss like Thunder Wave. So the only things that this is going to wall that's not going to get paralyzed by this is going to be electric types. So you got to be careful for that, especially Zeraora. Unfortunately, Zeraora does wall this entire set. We don't learn a ground move apart from Bulldoze, which isn't going to do us any favors with our attack set. Dig, same story. Mudslap, nowhere near the number of power. Way too cheesy anyway. So our last coverage move here is going to be Surf. If we get the Glare on a lot of fire types, quick things like Cinderace, we can reliably knock them out with Surf, especially if they're taking rocks damage on like an offensive set, say if they're Choice Band on a Sunbeam. We can bluff for a turn that we're solar power for whatever reason, too. That's another great thing about this little guy here. So from here, we only have one weakness, that's fighting, so the biggest fighting threat right now is Teambuilder. What can we do? A fairy or a flying is really what we need to cover for this. Looking through the tier. And as we're looking through here, try to keep in mind some big threats that we're going to have to build around. So let's see. Well, can't go wrong with fairy and flying, huh? Serene Gracebreaker for sure. Hustle's useless, Superluck's useless. Yeah, this is definitely going to wall every variant of Teambuilder. All we need to do is give this thing heavy duty boots to make sure we have infinite switch-ins, and then decide to set. Because it's not Choice Scarf, we're going to go with some sort of breaker. Nasty Plot's the best variant for that. Definitely dual stab, but most people run Dazzling Gleam. I personally run with that hidden tech, Draining Kiss. You see this on a lot of Hatterene's Trick Room teams. Because it's such a weak move, you need a boost on it. But you'd be surprised, there's a lot of things that'll actually drop to unboosted Draining Kiss. Hydreigon, for example. This also messes up Komodo if they have no special defense investment, especially after the boost. Doesn't matter if they're max HP and a boost. And Spadef, boosted Nasty Plot will usually take out things like Komodo, fighting types in general. And then we're going to want Flamethrower for coverage. This is going to help out with a Glare Drill from the previous scenario, as well as maybe something Heliolisk doesn't manage to knock out in one hit, say a random bulky Cinderace. We can tip out on. Actually, sometimes we can just go in on the Earthquake. Say if Heliolisk Balloon or something else later on in the team is threatened by Earthquake, we can just come in on this. Don't care about Rocks damage and setup, because usually they'll switch out. Maybe they'll Whirlwind, and if so, we can just kind of pivot right back to it, and then go from there. Sometimes they'll Whirlwind, actually, 2 times in a row. It's happened to me, and then they'll just bring Togekiss right back in. So that can be a lot of fun. We're going to go with this Jetset set here. Timid. We definitely need the speed tier, because if we take this off, this is going to get walled out by a lot of things. And especially the other good thing if we run Timid is that we can bluff Choice Scarf, Heavy Duty Boot, if there is no hazards on the field, or if there's only spikes or T-spikes, what have you. Sticky Webs. This is going to be very important for Sticky Webs, although obviously Balloon helps us out with that too, but this is guaranteed immune to Sticky Webs. So, we have a normal, we have an electric, we have a fairy, we have a flying. Bisharp is personally one of my big favorites, and we don't have a steel or a dark type, but we need both of those, so we're going to go with that. Defiant is the obvious ability here. Black Glasses or Focus Sash is really the question when it comes to Bisharp. Never try Life Orb. Even if we end up making this a screen team, I don't see the benefit of getting like 3 turns total, especially with Ferrothorn and Clefable Top Specs running around. We're going to get like 2 turns if we run Life Orb, so... We're going to put... Focus Sash for now. We might change that to Black Glasses if this ends up being screens. There's really only one set for Bisharp. It's pretty self-explanatory. Sword Dance, Sucker Punch, Knockoff, Iron Head. It's really all you need. A lot of the time, you can get the Oko on Weakened Ferrothorn, the Oko on Corviknight if they're at lower than 80% with one Sword Dance knockoff. If we come in on Defog as well, I actually kind of want to make this screens now just for that reason, because so far we don't have any form of hazards, but I'd love to hard switch on a Defog for screens and then just sweep with Bisharp from there. We're actually going to do something a bit different for the EV set. Nothing suggested. We're going to go with our own custom set. Adamant. obviously. We need all that 383 power attack stat here, but we're going to run bulk. Now we're going to run exactly till we get up to 299 here, and then the rest in speed. So why this set? At 212, if we pick up the para on Dragapult or a Choice Scarfer, a lot of the time we will end up outspeeding them, so we can knock off instead of Sucker Punch. Unless we think they have priority. And if they have priority and they're glared, say it's Crawdaunt, we will always get the Sucker Punch off. So that's why we run this set. Also, people tend to run max speed for some reason. You, don't outspeed anything really but Dracovish, and, you need to Sucker Punch that anyway, so what are you trying to do there? So this is pretty much my custom Bisharp set. Let's hope it does a lot of work. If it has black glasses on top of this, obviously we can guarantee an Oko on Corviknight if we have Sword Stance up. But we're going to keep this for now. So from here, we are starting to form a little bit of a fire weakness, and we don't want Togekiss to be taking too many hits, because while we have Recovery and Draining Kiss, it does require a setup to reliably get that recovery. So we definitely need to fire resist. So far we have 2 Ghost Resists I've noticed, and no Ghost or Psychic type to take advantage of that, so maybe we can look for that next. I like Mew, but kind of want to give that its own video in the future, so I don't really want to use it here. And, what's actually left in the tier for us to use? I did mention that we want to make this screens. Let's think. Yeah, let's just go with screens. We don't really have any bulk here, and we already have 2 breakers that have used screens quite nicely, so it'll fit in. We obviously need Prankster if we want to make this a realistic set. Light Play is the only item for that. Obviously dual screens. Thunderwave, because this is the Flinchwave channel. We got to keep it real, guys. We got to keep it real. We have 2 forms of flinching, 2 forms of para. Let's go. And Foul Play, actually, for that last move. If we make this taunt, this is immediately taunt bait for any Grimmsnarl that wants to run speed. Considering the fact that we have a pretty good offensive core, we're not running any speed on this. We'll run 4, actually, just in case, just to get that to win that speed tie on no speed investment Grimmsnarl. Opposing no speed investment Grimmsnarl, that is. And now what we're gonna do with this is that with Foul Play as our only attack move, we need no attack investment. We can put that 4 here, and we can make this max defense. Now hear me out. Even though this is the worst of the 2 defensive stats for Grimmsnarl, if we have Foul Play as our attack move, we can get the Tuco on Excadrill in the sand, any variant of Zeraora, physical Dragapult, even if we don't need to worry about screens because they're always going to be Infiltrator. And on top of that, we can even sometimes outplay Melmetal, even though we're Fairy typing. So what we do is we Reflect turn 1, live, Thunder Wave, hopefully they get the para, or if we want to be brash, just Thunder Wave turn 1. And then basically that next turn after we have the Thunder Wave and the Reflect, whichever comes first, we Foul Play, and that's going to do like 30 to 50 depending on the set. If they're running no defense, max attacks banned, it's done like 40. So that's going to be pretty good. So from here, now that this is definitely screens, we need to take advantage of that. We have no hazards, but at the same time, everyone's running Defog, Rapid Spin, or Core Change. Do we really want to waste this slot for Stealth Rock? No. But we still need hazard control of our own, because as of yet, I mean, we are safe with 2 Pokemon, and this only really cares about rocks and spikes for the most part. There's immune to T-spikes, and obviously, Sticky Webs could actually be a win con for us with Bisharp. But say they outplay our Bisharp priority move that we don't see, or just in general, like maybe we get parried or burned. We're gonna need a way to get rid of the webs for the rest of the team. especially if this guy's balloon gets broken, we could be done from there. So, because I don't want to defog on opposing Bishop, the best, and because, like, a court change can be kind of like, you can set up on court change with this, by the way. Say, like, we put up screens, they come in on Cinderace, what they're going to do is court change first a lot of the times, so we can just glare on that, surf out. So, what we're actually going to do for hazard control is going to be Excadrill. Now, a lot of people are running... Oh, by the way, didn't I say that I was going to make this glasses if we were dual screens? Well, let's decide what we're going to make this first, because we're going to go ahead and make this another breaker. I'm not wasting time on Stealth Rock in this vid first, because in a way, screens are kind of hazard. It requires the same sort of setup as hazards, and it can be a lot more useful. So why would I want to waste time with, like, screens and hazards? By the time they get into that, like, cloisters come in. We don't need to mess with that. So, the OG sweeper. Fanboy go fast, eh? Everyone remember that April Fool's joke? If you were on the Showdown server on April Fool's, like, that's what they named this thing, like, Fanboy go fast. I thought it was hilarious. And Rapid Spin. That's the whole reason we got this one, so... Mold Breaker. We do not want to do Sand Rush, although I've seen that before, where, people will run Sand Rush for opposing Sand, but I kind of think that's gimmicky. Jolly, suggested set. So we could make this sash and this black glasses, or we could keep that sash, which I kind of like, because, like, this is going to come in on rocks anyway, so why are we going to make this sash? Let's make this leftovers. If this is a late game sweeper, that could really help us out. We could, like, sit in on Corviknight without body press, or if we're behind screens, we could set up and then just sweep with leftovers. Doesn't matter whatever chip they could get, especially if we keep screens up with Light Clay. Man's not to get knocked off. This could be really useful, so we're going to keep that. I also don't like to run more than one item, like, type, so, like, no no double Scarf, no double leftovers. I've seen stall teams with, like, 4 of them are leftovers, like, none of that. It's almost like battle spot rules. I kind of think that's how it should be, like, you don't get 2 of the same Pokemon, why should you get 2 of the same item? Like, if we need to, at some point for a video, like, okay, but for now, I like to avoid it. I also just think strategically it's a waste of a slot, like, there's so many different items, like, abuse different ones. Like, no one thinks to run Air Balloon. Like, people would put Life Orb on this thing. Like, back during the Doug Trio metagame, like, that was such a terrible idea. You'd get trapped the moment you try to pivot around, and, like, that's the end. Even, like, post-Doug Trio, Air Balloon is such a good item because, like, we can abuse sand, we can abuse rain, we can potentially abuse sun. Like, such a good breaker. Breaker, pivot, whatever. This was supposed to be a balance video, but it's slowly becoming hyper offense. Like, I have the Grimmsnarl, I have the Bisharp, whatever. We're gonna make Heliolisk shine. In fact, because we have, like, not sweaty, but, like, 2 top 10s. Okay, whatever. In these, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add. I was originally thinking we definitely needed a Ghost or a Dragon, but we don't need a Dragon. Like, we're gonna add, like, 5 weaknesses. Like, do we need an Ice weakness with Kyurem running around? I don't want Kyurem either because it's, like, gets destroyed by rocks, and we only have Rapid Spin as our hazard control, and I don't want to have to do that more than, like, twice in a battle. And, like, Kyurem, all they'll do is spam Stealth Rock to try to get rid of it. So, in fact, if we're gonna do a Rock Sweep Pokemon, let's go with, like, a hidden threat. You said we still needed a Ghost. I could go Corsola. Make that our Stealth Rocker? I did say to get Stealth Rock on this match. Yeah, you know what? Let's go Chandelure. Yeah. I mentioned we had a Fire weakness going. We definitely completed that with Excadrill. And if we think about it, yeah, we could go with Infiltrator to get behind screens, but we mentioned that we actually want Cinderace to court change so we can get an no-co. Well, not an no-co, but like a 2-co with Surf or Foul Play. So we're going to keep Flash Fire, and that's going to give us a lot of switch-ins, because that's 3 immunities. Switch in on Facade, switch in on Drain Punch, Mach Punch, Superpower from Melmetal. Oof, Superpower from Melmetal. Speaking of which, I've seen a really fun set to use. So, especially behind screens, we're going to, like, laugh off a Double Iron Bash. So we can actually take advantage of that by using a little-known set. So it's Flame Charge. I know what you're thinking. 55 base attack, what are we thinking? Flame Charge actually gives us the speed boost that we need on this. People are usually split between Scarf and Specs. Scarf for speed, get the Oko on, like, Dragapult, but with the number of Scarf Dragapult running around, it's kind of a bad bet, because, like, if you mispredict and it's Scarf and you didn't think it was Scarf, your Chandelure gets, like, blown away. And you kind of need screens for this thing in the first place, in case there's Sucker Punch. So given that, we want free ability to change moves. It has 90 defense, 90 spit up. That's like Seismitoad numbers, so I'm actually thinking let's go Assault Vest. With Assault Vest, we can take advantage of the number of Scarf Dragapult running around, and basically just live a Shadow Ball, laugh off a Shadow Ball if we're behind screens, and potentially even just Flame Charge on them to set up, and then Shadow Ball the next turn. So we have our pseudo dual stab, but we definitely want like a better fire move. Now the big question is, a lot of people run Flamethrower, a lot of people run Fire Blast. Now, I think there's an even better move here, Overheat. Now I know we're Assault Vest, but this is a one setup move that we can actually use quite a bit, because we can come in on Toxapex. We don't really care about Scald. We could care about Knockoff, but that's kind of rare. And even if they do Knockoff, like, if we see it, we can just switch out, or Tuco with Shadow Ball. We're gonna probably run Max Attack. Timid, because at 284, just like Togekiss, we mentioned Scarf. Basically, after the speed boost, this is Scarf plus 145 special attack. That brings us to 389. That's higher in attack than Drill is in attack. Just think about it like that. Now the big question is actually our fourth move. Do we want Energy Ball or Psychic? Now, the best way to answer that is to think about what coverage we already have. Now, we have Grass Knot here, but I think the big thing this team, these 5 at least, don't cover is Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash Hydro Pumps this, can defog on this, potentially, as if they're defogged, and make us set up again, potentially Wisp Us or Nasty Plot Hydro Pump, kill this. Ooh, Nasty Plot Hydro Pump will actually, like, destroy this. We can't T-Wave on it, we can't Foul Play on it. We'd have to predict a defog. We really don't want to get burned, and they can carry Will-O-Wisp. This can carry Toxic, and Grass Knot's not going to do enough. So I actually think the only move we can put on this is Energy Ball, or else we're going to get completely walled by a Rotom Wash versus, say, if we take advantage of that Flame Charge scenario, where we, like, say, take a weakened Corviknight or, like, Ferrothorn or something like that, Flame Charge Shadow Ball it. They bring in Rotom Wash, Energy Ball, keep sweeping. Say Conkeldurr for the last one. Overheat's going to do as much as Psychic. So the only thing this kind of doesn't care about is Toxapex, but we're trying to come in on a weakened Toxapex anyway, not take it on 1v1, so I think this is pretty good. For an attack, yeah, no. Like, it's just a setup move, but, like, calm down, Showdown. But we are going to put the 4 in Spit Death, because we are Assault Vest, and that's going to take the most advantage of that. So we're going to double check all the abilities. Let's see. Flash Fire, Mold Breaker, Prankster, Defiant, Serene Grace, Air Balloon, Dry Skin, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, items too, though. EVs. Oop. There we go, see, that's why you check. No minus attack. see. Matter of fact, because this is a screen setter, just looking at the CV spread really quick, we're going to boost this up to 200. Perfect, yeah. Make it 380. I don't care if it's even. Like, people say, like, oh, you always have to make it like a odd number or something because then you get one less stealth rock switch in. Like, this isn't our pivot. This is our lead. We don't really need to care about that. And that keeps our 4-speed EV. This is a good spread. Yeah, I think that's good. The only other thing I like to do before we start is kind of make sure that our team covers general threats. So this is April 2020, top 6. Clefable, Ironhead. We have two Ironheads. We don't care about that. Definitely don't care about Corviknight between Shandy and Heliolisk. We mentioned Chandelure again. Oh, Chandelure again. Is this the Heliolisk vid or the Chandelure vid? Am I right? Actually, yeah, this is sort of a problem, but we mentioned Grimmsnarl can 1v1 this if it leads, so we're going to try to take advantage of that. Heliolisk actually does a lot of work against 5 and 6, believe it or not. If this is close combat, we switch out into our Ghost and Overheat. Shadow Sneak usually doesn't kill us from full. If we come in on rocks, that could be a problem, but they'll be weakened enough that usually Shadow Ball will kill. Or if they do close combat, that one scenario, like, maybe we can just go Togekiss and flinch them down, or a Flamethrower will do it. This isn't a problem at all. Yeah, the Sash set, I actually kind of think this set is trash, to be honest. Like, it wastes a slot. 7 through 12, Bisharp. Togekiss does a pretty decent job behind screens against this thing. Excadrill can mess this up pretty nicely. This one's a tougher one. Bisharp's it's kind of one of those things where you just don't let this thing set up. But behind screens, Togekiss is really going to be our biggest answer here. I mean, is there anything really else? Yeah, I mean, that's good enough. Plus Chandelure. We could glare this, go Shandy, usually live, and then, yeah, just take our chances. Probably going to definitely guarantee screens if we end up behind this thing. Oh, in fact, if we do that, and they don't know for foul play, we could take care of it with our Grimm. So that would be nice. We mentioned Kamo in the build, we mentioned Hydreigon in the build, we mentioned Pax, we mentioned Ferrothorn, we mentioned Melmetal. Let's see, other threats. We definitely mentioned Toad. We mentioned Scrovish, Hippowdon, Cloyster. Now, Heliolisk actually does a pretty good, decent job at this. When they come in, we can glare, and if not, we can always Thunder Wave this with Grimmsnarl. Bit of a suicide situation, but then we can Volt Switch out. Or maybe even go Bisharp, knock off. Lots of different options, actually. Mentioned Conk heavily. This thing's a monster and just an underrated threat in general. Helium is a problem, but they're always choice locked. So it's like, oh, Ice Beam does so much, but then, like, we just go to our Spit-Off wall, which is Chandelure. It's going to take, like, 16. We overheat, it's dead. Or they Earth Power, like, oh, you picked up the kill against what have you, then we can just go to Togekiss. Like, it's not that hard against that one. I'm pretty sure that's all the threats we need to cover. Alright, let's just validate that. OU format. See. Alright guys, that is the end of the first Flinchwave team builder. We will be testing this team in the next video, which I will link in the description. In case you want to jump to that video immediately, there will be a short little summary of what we did in the team builder here in that video. If you liked what you see, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Everything helps out. Suggestions as well for the next video and for this video in general. Just any kind of commentary helps. Thank you guys so much. See you next time. This is Flinchwave.